paths, trade secrets. And I need to come up with a new phrase. I say this every time because it's one of my favorite people. But he is one of my favorite people because I don't talk to people I don't like. This is Krish Sharma. That's right, people. Krishsharma. Get it right, bitches.
Alliterative.
Not Chris, not Krish. Get it together. I got Canvas the other day from an A&R guy.
Really?
Canvas. 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 Yeah,
I respond. That seems like further away from
it's too nuts.
The mean.
I just respond to everything. So it's pretty unscripted. And one of the main questions that I ask, and I think the reason I started to do this, just to give you a little bit of backstory, was I'm getting close to retirement. And there's so many people that I love and I've worked with over the years. And I wanted to shine a light on engineers and producers and how you guys are I don't want to say unsung heroes, but not nearly lauded enough heroes of recorded music. And also, obviously artists as well. But I wanted people to see, that nobody, there's no one way to get here.
Yeah, word. Exactly.
So the main question that I ask is, where were you born?
First of all, I'm so happy to be here with you.
You've
been a force in this business, and we're sitting in this room where I've made so many great records among the other
That's
rooms.
why I did it in this room today.
Yeah,
We're in Studio 2 at East West.
One of my favorites. The drum sound amazing. I recorded a vibraphone with a cricket in the room in here.
There is a cricket that lives there. Tom Petty gave up fighting with the cricket in the vocal booth one day.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, I was like, cricket's on the record. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Welcome, cricket.
Yeah. But so it's great to be here, and thank you for all you've done for the community and musicians and everything. Because as we navigate all this, having a home is so important. And the artists come and go, but this is our home, man. And you come in and you're sad, you're happy, whatever, and we've all kind of shared that, and that's.
Well, my job is to make sure you're happy. That's my job.
Well, you've done a great job with that.
Thank you. Keith and I always make the interns watch the lobby boy speech for the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, nice.
I'm Ralph Fiennes, if you're wondering who I am. I'm the guy who runs the hotel.
Right. Yeah. But you also understand this much wider industry that this hotel fits in.
Agreed.
And that's a whole complicated thing. But anyway, I'm hijacking your first question.
I don't give a shit. Yeah, where were you born?
I was born here in Redondo Beach.
Oh, really?
And I grew up in Palos Verdes.
Nice.
And then I went all the way to UCLA. So 10 miles away for college.
Well, we're back up. We're going to do elementary school first, bro.
Oh, Valmonte.
We're starting early. What did your dad do?
My dad was a scientist, inventor, and aerospace engineer.
So my dad's similar.
Right on. Yeah, you get the bug early. My dad, one of the very
Did he work
first,
for NASA or JPL or?
He worked for TRW.
Okay.
But he also, his college thesis, he went to SLO. At college, he got a patent for one of the very
SLO
first.
is San Luis Obispo,
San Luis Obispo. Great engineering department.
Yeah.
And he got a patent for the first audio amplifier using a transistor.
What?
Yeah. And it may have, it was coming out. So there were other companies that were bringing those out, but it was a kind of it was called the Sharma circuit, and you can see it in the audio
I love
handbook.
it.
And then they started a company in Chicago, and so he made a bunch of amplifiers. He worked for a company called Acoustic, which makes the kind of the John Paul Jones Family Man bass.
Yes.
So he made that big bass amp. He designed it, obviously, and so.
So siblings, brothers, sisters?
I've got one sister. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about your mom too. What'd your mom do? What's your mom?
My mom, she was from Germany. My dad was from India. My mom was from Germany. So I was kind of it was a mixed race when there wasn't that much around of that. And she was, so wildly different cultures. I'm very much.
People don't realize that Indians are Caucasian, by the way. Let's knock that down for you.
Yeah. It's actually.
It's the Caucasus Mountains, right?
That's where they come from, and then there's Northern India as one group, and the Southern India is a whole other group, and we were Northern Indians. Actually, my family was from Pakistan.
Oh, okay.
And then when partition
You're kind
happened,
of fair, so maybe the German.
Yeah, no, my mom was a ginger.
Oh,
red
that
hair,
makes
freckles,
sense.
and my dad was pretty dark, but
Handsome.
he had blue eyes. So.
I was gonna say blue eyes.
No, he was.
He's handsome. You're handsome.
Yeah.
I bet he was hot.
Yeah, he definitely had everyone eating out of his hand when he wanted to. It was so. My mom was, She was a housewife, but she was, educated as an engineering technician and stuff. So,
Very cool.
Then later on, went to work.
Did they meet at college?
They met at that company that was started with my dad's patent. They met in Chicago, and he was kind of her assistant. So HR nightmare.
Nice.
And then they were shacking up, but had to have 2 apartments because that wasn't,
Dude, where are you
whole
supposed to
thing.
meet people? Or once you get out of school, where do you meet people except for work? Where are you going to meet anybody? I mean, obviously, I like bars, but that's just me.
Right, yeah. And my parents they weren't bar people. I'm a bar person.
Me too.
They weren't. And what was interesting, is now it's online, right? But how do you meet someone how do you know if you're going to vibe with them without smelling them, without seeing how they walk? All
Okay,
of that.
I'm telling you, there's my husband got Brian, who I adore, obviously. He has a theory that when you touch their hand, like when you touch the person's skin, that your skin knows if it goes with your skin. And smell, though. We're like animals, dude.
I don't think he's wrong.
I think a pheromone thing is very real. I think this is all real. So we're getting into it. We're just getting right on
let's
down
go.
into it, dude.
Bam.
We'll get to music later.
Right.
We're gonna talk
Well,
about
what music do you like?
We're going to talk about pheromones.
Right.
Was there music in your elementary school?
There was
Like chorus or?
a little bit of music in elementary school. It was like
You say Belmonte? Was that
Belmonte in Palos Verdes, and they had a pretty robust arts program.
Right.
And it was kind of back in the day.
You're a little bit
in the
younger
se-
than me, but we had good art
in the
programs. then.
70s. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was still kind of there. We had a music teacher in junior high on, and so there was a lot of music that way, and then a lot of music in the home.
Oh,
too.
really? Cool.
Yeah.
So did your dad play?
A little. We had instruments around, and
Right.
like they bought a piano early on, and I was to play, but my dad never really
We
played that much.
all
He
my
had a
bro-
guitar.
All my brothers are musicians, and we had a piano, and I don't play a fucking thing.
Right.
I play
Yeah.
the telephone. But
Right.
do you play guitar?
A little bit, yeah. I can. I've played every instrument on a record poorly, or everyone's wants to do something fun, and no one's playing, the root.
Right, yeah.
No one's going bow on the piano at the top of the chorus. So, I've played a lot. I've done a bunch of songwriting, kind of, along, earlier days, and so there I would kind of record and then edit. So you don't have to play that well to make a song.
And songwriting as in music and melody or as in lyrics?
All of them.
Nice. Yeah, I can see you. I'm
50-50.
definitely a word person. I can see
Yeah.
you being a lyric
No,
person.
I love lyrics.
We love music. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a driving connection.
Music, it's like these little vignettes of philosophy or reporting of your current emotional status. It might be meaningful to someone else. Put over this cool melodic thing that injects it into your brain.
Well, the whole thing about music, like you remember, the smell of bacon when you're 4, right?
Correct.
But you remember where you were when you heard a song the first time, if the song touched you, if the song moved
Absolute
you.
soundtrack to your life.
Abso-freaking-lutely, dude.
You remember your first kiss, your first breakup.
Yep.
All of that
All
stuff
those
with
things.
music.
Second base. What song was that? I don't know.
I work now with brands and artists, and I was talking to a cool brand. Probably can't mention them.
You can
but-
say whatever you want.
Yeah,
If
just
they
for
won't
them.
because this won't come out for a couple of
But
months.
it was a really cool brand, a beer brand. He's like, music's so important, and it is the soundtrack of our lives, and we just want to support it and be there. And I
nice.
thought that was amazing, and they do it already.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of understands the importance of this medium to us.
Okay, and totally not a segue, just jumping into another area here. We remember the jingles from our childhood
Oh, my
and the
goodness.
ads from our childhood for like,
Oh, yeah.
it could be like the Fruit Loops, or I didn't eat Fruit Loops because my mother was,
Yeah, no, we
nutritionally
had-
sound.
no
But
Fruit Loops at our house,
yeah.
unfortunately.
But the commercials that we had,
Right.
the both in print too. The print commercials were insane, but the music, commercials on TV and commercials on the radio,
Right.
you could remember so many products by that.
Totally.
I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Right.
But
Pete Ellis Dodge, Long Beach Freeway, Fireside exit.
That's what I'm
Southgate,
saying. Yeah.
Well, think about it. There was a Brill Building, right? So that's
my
where all
dog
those, all the hits came.
Yep.
From early on, and then that was in New York. That was right next to all the ad agencies
Yep.
and the jingle houses. So there was just and they had already spent all this time, knowledge, and practice, gaining the experience of how to reach people's subconscious.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was a very natural
Yeah,
transition
this
to
is-
just go from
yeah.
building to Madison Avenue.
Music's going to get right in there. And it's interesting too, when I was a young manager, a big portion of our work was ad agencies like Chiat Day and a lot from Chicago, Daly and Associates, big ad agencies from New York, Chicago, and then LA. But I digress. But if you learn how to record a jingle and you're a recording engineer, it is the fastest.
So fast.
It is very good training for how to be fast and how to be accurate.
I remember recording Al Jarreau doing a McDonald's commercial.
Oh my God! See, this is what I'm talking about.
And he had to punch in like, well, he didn't quite hit special sauce.
It's like, are you fucking? It's
Al
Al Jarreau.
So we got to punch in for special sauce. First of all, Al Jarreau hits everything he's doing.
He's Al Jarreau.
But second, what?
Fuck your special sauce. Yeah, he is the special.
But I made the punch.
Yeah, of course you did. He is the special sauce.
Right.
He's Al Jarreau.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah,
that's good.
Sesame seeds. That's another story.
Yeah. I always remember the randomest thing. I have this engineer that I love, John X. Volitis.
John X?
Yeah, remember John X? He's allergic to sesame seeds.
Is he?
Yeah. I don't know why you said that. See, it's sort of a stream of consciousness podcast.
Yeah, that's what it is. Danny Saber, and he used to work with Danny.
I used to work with them
I did a bunch
all
of mixing
the time.
for Danny.
I worked with them so much at Soundcastle.
Yeah.
Danny reached out a minute ago. I think, John, maybe if you listen to this, John, I'll hit you up. Maybe you listen to this and know that you're loved and respected.
Yeah.
And don't get the sesame seeds.
Amazing producer engineer,
Dude,
too.
super talented.
Yeah.
So in the school, had support, music
Support
was
for
around
music,
at home.
Yeah. And we had there was a guitar amp around the house. And there was that kind of stuff.
So you would look super
around.
cool to your friends, right?
Yeah, except I couldn't play guitar when I was a kid. I could only play kind of piano.
There's no amp for piano.
I know. It was just, and my parents were like, well, if you get good at piano, then we'll get you guitar lessons, because they felt piano was a broader base. And they're maybe right.
I think they
but
are.
But it
right.
wasn't cool.
Yeah. I agree. My mom tried to get me to do, my brother did violin lessons. Then they all took piano lessons. I have 3 older brothers. They're all amazing, talented cats. The 2 oldest were recording engineers at the record plant. That's how I got started in this business. And a lot of people that I know to this day, I met when I was in high school. But my oldest brother, Rick, he moved back to Charleston. He busts on the street. Called me the other day. He sits out on the street and he does, he channels like fucking Robert Johnson. He just is an amazing blues player, on his resonator or whatever he's playing. He's super talented. But I never got that bug. I was like, I will play soccer.
Right. Which is, So
I played lacrosse. Yeah. Right.
Which is a whole music in and of itself. I played club lacrosse for a year in college.
Dude, it's fucking, lacrosse is hard.
It is.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, you get a stick and get to hit people with it.
It's so awesome. Dude, and when I played in like junior high school and high school, our team was co-ed. The boys and the girls, we played on the same team.
That's like a co-ed football team.
Maybe because we were like 14 or 15 or whatever, but and then later it kind of split up. Anyway, but lacrosse.
Yeah.
Okay, music is like math. Everything is like math, basically, if you get right on down to it.
Yeah, music is very arithmetic. It's all these counts that go together. But how music is fundamentally is very much math. An octave is double, a fifth is 1.5, and the rest are logarithmically related. And that's why our brains go, oh, these sounds are synchronous because of that mathematical relationship.
And we can tell when something's flat or when something's dissonant pretty quickly with these analog ears of ours.
We can. What's interesting is we, like all guitars and everything, it's all equal tempered chromatic, which Bach started.
Love him. Love that guy.
It used to be you'd tune for every key, because really a D sharp in the key of D and a D sharp in the key of E are actually different frequencies.
Right.
So those frequencies, like if you play a C major chord in an equal tempered, the E of that C major chord is 30 cents sharp to what your ear would want to hear. And that's what John Frusciante and Rick Rubin were so smart about in some of those Chili Pepper songs, is where it's just the guitar playing something simple, they'll detune that note. And
dude, I think John Frusciante's a monster.
Oh my God! I've never worked with him.
He's a sweetie pie.
Oh yeah, I mixed something, or I produced something that he played on, but I came in after he had done the overdub.
Dude, he's
with
the nicest
Perry
cat.
Farrell, but he's
the nicest cat.
He's amazing. But like Under the Bridge, if you that guitar part, and everyone's like, oh, he's singing flat, the guitar's flat. No, it's not. It's just in just tuning. So they've tuned it for that, and it's much more beautiful because equal temper tuning is an average. That is so. Anyway, it's inside
Listen, I
baseball.
like it. I don't mind. This
But
is
we
what
have
we're
to
learning.
use all this math to give the music the most power it can have.
Right. So you're out of Valmonte
Right.
Elementary School. High school was where?
Palos Verdes.
Also
PBI.
Palos Verdes.
Yeah.
Dude, Palos Verdes is so incredibly beautiful, but
It
it's
was
kind of
insane.
isolated.
Very isolated. But like there was a lighthouse, which is on Pier
Yep,
Avenue in
I've been
Hermosa
there.
Beach. And there's seminal Cannonball Adderley records
Yeah.
recorded there in the 50s.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a scene there. And I used to
I
come
saw
up.
Rick Derringer there.
Oh my God.
They probably don't know who Rick Derringer is, but
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Originally in the McCoys, Hang On
That's
Sloopy,
crazy.
but then, Rick Derringer. Johnny Winter or Edgar Winter's band? Edgar's band.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rick Derringer's an
I
amazing
get
guitar player.
confused on that.
Yeah,
on
they're
the Winters.
incredible
But
guys.
you know where I would go, a place called what was now the Viper Room.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and
The
then
Central.
We'd go to the Central.
was the Central.
On Monday nights.
Yes.
And I ended up.
how did I not meet
I would
you
go
there?
there, and I kind of got to know the guys.
We make out there? No, you were too young.
You never
I used to
know.
go there all the
I used to hang
time.
out with older people. But then the saxophonist named Spider.
Yes.
In Chucky Weiss and the Goddamn
Yeah,
Liars.
Chucky Weiss.
Spider. I met Spider, and then
Look up Chucky Weiss. That's also Ricky Lee Jones, Chucky Weiss.
Yes. And Spider and I and a tennis pro started a nightclub in Redondo Beach.
Oh, my God.
Called Club Soul City when I was still in high school.
Oh, I
it
love
lasted
this.
only a year. It was pretty fun. So I was kind of like, I just loved music, and I sang in a punk rock band.
Kinda entrepreneurial.
A little bit entrepreneurial.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to UCLA and studied computer science and economics. And which
Now
was-
I did computer science in the 70s, and I just remember like COBOL and BASIC.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the computer was like as big as that booth. It was massive.
Yeah, I was in a meeting the other day, and someone was like, "Oh, computer science." I'm like, "Calm down. I graduated in '91." So
Dude,
it's not.
I dropped out of college after going for 7 years in '82.
Wow.
Yeah, I started when I got out of high school early. I started college at 16.
Yeah.
I skipped the 11th grade. I used to be very intelligent. I don't
We
know what
used
happened.
to be.
I don't
Used
know
to
what
be.
happened. I just want to get out of
The
Dodge.
music was a cooler. Like I got a job right out of UCLA. I got a job at I was going to be stockbroker. I had a job at Merrill Lynch. I was connected through my current girlfriend at the time to the company in a pretty high level way. They're
So
like,
your parents
"Great."
are excited because you're going to get a real job.
Totally. My dad bought me a briefcase and everything.
Dude,
and then
I love this.
And then I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. Everyone's like, what?
I'm going to work at Nadine's.
Yeah. And then I started teaching sailing in Marina Del Rey, and they're all losing their mind.
Dude, I love this sail. We never talked about this.
Yeah.
I had a sunfish when I was about 12.
Right. That's real sailing.
I
You
grew
gotta
up on
learn.
I grew up on a river called the Stono River, and you could sail on it in Charleston. But
Okay.
I've been sailing my whole life, but I don't own a boat now. I've been talking about retirement and about the vehicles I'll own, and none of them. And I mean, there'll be a car, but they're all water vehicles. It's all kayak, john boat,
My God,
sailboat.
That'll be so sweet.
You know, it's gonna be so sweet.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
the
shrimping.
water.
Me and Krish are gonna be shrimping.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like the Tom Waits show.
And
Tom
I'm not going
Waits
to
is-
catch any shrimp because that
Yeah,
sounds like a pain in the ass.
No, it's super
I'd
fun.
rather just drink.
Dude, it's so easy.
Okay.
They're like
Fair
thousands.
enough.
There's a billion of them. It'll
right.
be like that Tom Waits show where Tom Waits goes fishing. Have you seen that?
No.
Dude,
Oh, that's
it's
gotta be
rad.
the best.
It's rad. So, yeah. So we'll get back. Okay. So he's out of college. I mean, yeah, you're out of
Out
college.
of college.
Yeah. You're
just
where'd you-
rudderless.
But wait, no. But what happened? So you start teaching sailing instead of Merrill Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. It was just like, what? And I mean, you do the math. You started in that industry in 1992.
Yeah.
Life would have been pretty sweet. But anyway.
Oh, you would have been Bill
yeah,
Gates.
Yeah. or I would have fucked it up. But
Yeah.
but it was so then I decided then I wanted to be a record producer. I wrote and then so
I love how you just decided. I'm going to be a record
and
producer.
I got Mix Magazine. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember all this shit.
greatest.
And then there was a Mix Magazine, and they used to have this edition that was a directory.
Yep.
And you could go and see where everyone. So everyone who was a producer, I wrote them a letter.
This is the
And
best. This is the best story ever.
Nobody responded.
What? First
Nobody responded.
of all, no one's going to respond to their potential competition,
Right.
and or this person whose name they don't know.
Yeah, or some young kid who's like, I'm qualified to like no, you're not. You're qualified to go like get coffee. at this
Okay,
point.
is it wrong for me to bag right now and say there are people that are producers right now that really shouldn't
Yes.
be called producers. If someone interviews for a job with me to be like a runner or an assistant engineer, and they go, "Well, I'm a producer," I'm like, "Well, let's back up the truck first."
Right.
Because for you and I, many producers were never engineers. Many producers are musicians, and many incredible producers were also engineers. So there's different backgrounds. But if you say to me, "I'm a producer," before you understand what we do here, which is recording engineering,
Right.
and the
Exactly.
concept of the room as an instrument, et cetera, then I think that you're just writing beats in the dark.
Right. And production process is managing the recording process to get the best result for an artist.
Absolutely.
That's what record production
our
is.
all of our jobs are to serve the artist.
Correct.
And wherever you get in that hierarchy, Rick Rubin would say the same. Rick Rubin's gift is that he's the ultimate fan. He recognizes what, I don't want to say what's popular, but he has got an incredible ear, and he's a fan. And I would never take anything away from that, because he loves music. He's not an engineer, he's not a musician, but he loves music. His other gift is eliciting performance and making the artist feel comfortable,
Right.
to where they're at ease. I've seen him do it many times, and they provide the best possible performance because they're in a safe environment. I mean, when artists come into a studio,
A safe but assertive environment, because
Yes.
you're with Rick Rubin. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
everything, all systems go, but it's cool.
it's all cool. When you come into the studio, you literally are handing the studio crew your baby. Because when you're an artist, your song and your music, you're very vulnerable. It's your baby.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, "Here's my baby. Don't hurt my baby."
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So our job.
But your baby might need a haircut or something.
Dude, your baby probably needs new socks.
Yeah, yeah.
Or needs to be wrapped in a different blanket.
Right, exactly.
Or your
And
baby,
you wouldn't be here if your baby wasn't super awesome.
Yeah.
But we still got to get the baby to the place where the public will buy it.
exactly, where the people can see the baby or hear the
Right. And get it and
Yeah.
understand what's best about it.
Yeah, why it's the best baby ever.
Right, exactly.
But I was starting to say the hierarchy, like people think, "Oh, once I make it to being a producer," it's like, no, dude. When you're the runner, you're subservient to the assistant. When you're the assistant engineer, you're subservient to the engineer. When you're the engineer, you're subservient to the producer and the artist. When you're the producer, everybody is subordinate. I don't say subservient, but subordinate to the artist and to the music.
Right, exactly.
Because without the artist and the music, we don't have a gig. But without them and people, what we do, their music would never be heard.
Right.
Other than live performance,
Right,
it wouldn't be
exactly.
captured for posterity.
Exactly. And you
Yeah.
have to be fiercely on the side of the artist.
Yeah.
I produced a few projects for Perry Farrell, worked together for a few years. That was awesome. He's a true artistic force.
Yeah.
And I had
a great surfer, too,
great
now.
time. Great surfer. He was the kind of guy that at the time I worked with him, he was super cool. He still is cool, but he's very well known in LA. So it was like this, you had the creative free ticket if you're producing him. So
Yeah.
that was kind of neat. So you go to
Yeah,
museums
Rich wrote the
after hours.
Habitual. What in
Yeah,
90?
that was before this, but
Yeah, in '93, I worked at what you would know was Kendon. It was called Take One in Red Zone, but it was Kendon. It's Glenwood Place now. But I was there for like 10 years. My brother had a room there. And I left there to go to Soundcastle. And one of the reasons I wanted to go to Soundcastle was Dave Jordan had been there, and he had done Rich with the
Right.
Habitual,
Yeah.
and then he'd done Alice in Chains Facelift and all these things. And then I went and ended up being a rap studio, which is great. I met a lot of cool people, but we didn't do
I
a lot
think
of
that's
rock.
where I met you first.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
do as much rock as I had wanted at that
Yeah.
time.
I think I did a band Ouroboros with you.
Ah, that rings a bell.
Yeah. But Perry was like, there was some lawsuit or some management meeting, and there was potentially a lawsuit about someone wanting some additional something, a percentage from him. And I was like, I got on stand, I kind of lost my mind, because here's this artist, and someone's messing with the artist and messing with my artist.
And
too.
his publishing. It's
And
like,
his
fuck you didn't
publishing,
write it.
Right. And it was just, and Perry's like, I didn't know you were that passionate. I'm like, yeah, man, that's our job.
Yeah.
I'm your guy.
I'm your
And you better,
protector.
you're mine too, but
Yeah.
it's, I'm your protector. And that's
Yeah.
what you do in the studio is you protect them so that they're in a bubble that they can perform
Yeah.
and be creative.
Yeah. Now, I want to hear more about all the projects you've done. I know you had a nice still do, I'm sure, have a long, nice affiliation with Don Was.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the early A&M days because, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, and Fariel, anybody from Henson, don't get upset when I say this, I think you worked there during its heyday. I think that the group of people that I know that came out of there at that time, Randy Wine, Chad Muncie, anybody that was working for Shelley Yakis, when Shelley was around, Gary Meyerberg, just a lot of amazing people came out of. I remember going to A&M, and it was like, ooh, I'm going to A&M. You know what I mean? Because how many studios were owned by a record company executive who was actually a musician?
Right.
I mean, Herb Alpert, and a sculptor. You know what I mean? But a great musician.
Yeah, he had the vision. It also came from the New York crew. The Shelley crew. Cause,
great engineer.
One of my dear friends is Brooke Rod, but she's really Brooke Germano, and the Germano family had not Right
Hit
Track,
Factory.
but Hit Factory, right?
Yeah, and Troy Germano.
Troy, I know, he's an amazing cat.
Amazing.
Yeah, Germano Studios is great. This is great, but
it's all great.
Yeah, it's all great. But they imported all. They set the stage, and then all those people came out here.
Yeah.
And then they just made A&M into this powerhouse. It was insane the amount of talent that was there, and Shelley was there, and he was it was hard to work with. You're going to stay up all night, or
he's a perfectionist.
He's a perfectionist and whatever. And so I learned, but wait, this guy will come in and listen to my mixes and then tell me how to make them better. I don't care how torturous that is. I'm going to do it. I talked to Shelley a few months ago.
Oh, I need to reach out.
Yeah.
I actually totally need to reach out to him. So records that you need to look up stuff that Shelley Yakis has done. But I always mess up the Who thing between Glenn Johns and Shelley, but I know that there was a lot of Shelley.
There was a lot of Shelley, but and Shelley did some great work with the Heartbreakers.
Oh yeah,
Betty.
Yeah.
And I think he recorded John Lennon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he did as well.
And
but that type of mentorship and that type of exposure to that type of talent in, I don't want to say a nurturing environment, because I don't know if A&M was a nurturing environment.
No, it was very Machiavellian. But hey, they would go through. It was like 80 runners or 100 runners to get to one assistant or something like that.
I know. I had a meeting last week, and I got all emotional because I care, and I was getting verklempt, you guys can't do stupid shit. You don't understand what's riding on this. But I think we are more gentle souls than the people we learned from.
Totally.
Yeah, I think there's a different style. But I won't lie, that tough love style made a lot of talented cats, man.
It did, and it weeded people out, and
dude, Andy Johns. I mean, he didn't come from A&M. Andy Johns is from England, obviously, but those kind of people were working at A&M. Then you were working with, like you said, George Harrison was around. You know what I mean? I mean, it was.
I remember walking into that studio because the only reason I got a job there.
Yeah. How'd you get the job at A&M?
I was no
Wait,
one
what happened
answered.
to this sailing? You didn't meet some rich woman and have a sugar mama?
I wish. No, actually, I don't wish. But no, that was that's some amazing partners, but not that. But so I called around, or I couldn't get. No one responded.
Oh yeah, you didn't get the letters from the producers back.
And then so I called around, and I had never even heard of. I just looked at now with the studios. I got to call the studios.
It's at the top. Remember the studio menu?
Yeah.
It was actually a menu, like a laminated menu. It was just one folded thing that opened up with all the studios and support companies.
Yeah, I forget the guy who did that.
CMS Digital, Gene Shively.
Right.
Mastering guy. Why do I know that?
This is all bringing back some memories. But I called, and I'm like, I just happened to call A&M, and it's impossible to get a gig there. Yeah. And I called up right when my future boss, Mark Harvey, was just like, we need another damn runner. And then I'm like, hey, do you have any openings for a runner? And I just happened to call right then. And the receptionist, Nicole, was amazing. Was just like, you know what? Yeah, what's your phone number? And then they called me back, and I went in for an interview. And then I got the job.
Of course you did.
Yeah, so that was.
Of course you did, because you're charming, and and at that point in your life, you're malleable.
Right. And
that's important.
You got to be. And I remember, I walk in, it was like John Bon Jovi and, Cher,
Yeah.
and like Nine Inch Nails.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all right, just in the like right there in front
the
of you
lobby.
in the lobby. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this? And then like Bill Lazarus is talking about inner wall groove distortion on a record, and I'm walking down these halls, it's all packed, all these people talking about the coolest shit ever and rock stars. I'm like, I am home.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
We're done. And
Yeah.
then I just lived there for 6 years.
Yeah.
I didn't leave.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. But what you learn, I mean, I tell the people here, and tell me if you agree with this, like I tell the runners as they become assistants, I'm like, every engineer that you work with, you're going to basically be stealing things from everyone you work with to combine and make your
Correct.
style.
Right.
You know, whether it's an unusual miking technique, whether it's whatever it is, what some weird thing that somebody does that you've never seen before, or maybe something that you see done over and over and over and over, and you go, okay, that's tried and true.
Right.
You know, whatever that is. You know.
Yeah.
You know. But,
It is.
But quit using so much fucking compression. But other than
Right.
that, please.
Or use more.
I don't know. I think it's too much.
I hear you. I
The loudness wars.
oh, that.
I
Yeah,
secretly
no,
blame
that.
Rick Rubin for that too.
Yeah.
Rick, I'm sorry.
There's I mean, it's a double-edged sword because I'm not going to use up all the bits that you've given me. Now with MP3, obviously it's different. You got to be a DV down. You know, Mark Needham, like
I love him so much. What a
his
badass
mixes
motherfucker.
sound so good. They're louder than everybody else's, and I have a feeling that's in the mix stage. But they sound open, warm, and
But they're
cool.
super musical, and he's a guitar player.
Yeah. So whatever
Yeah.
he's doing, I have no fucking idea, but it's something else entirely.
But he's a
It's great.
genius. I love Mark. You know, Mark's been on the show, but he was like the third episode, and we didn't have video yet. I need to get him back on he's so dry. You know, he's like the Clint Eastwood of recording.
I put some records on that he had done, some killer songs,
Oh, yeah.
and some other ones that other people had mixed.
Yeah, they
I
don't
think
sound as good.
Well, they don't sound as good for sure, but also you can just see digitally because I was getting wind and like the mastering guy had to drop his mixes down
Oh, interesting.
just so that they didn't overpower the other ones. So I don't know what kind of juju he's got.
He's got good juju. He's been working with Dolly Parton a lot lately. You know you're doing well if you get to, dude, talk about an amazing musician.
Yeah.
Dude, Dolly Parton. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, she play mandolin, she play guitar, she play banjo, she play anything.
Yeah.
You know, and sing. I love Dolly. But I love Muse, you know, so don't pigeonhole me. Okay.
Right. Good music is good music.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
So when you were at A&M and you're kind of going through the boot camp,
Right.
you know, as it were.
But there was a boot camp.
I know.
And they had this whole idea of like, we'll give our assistants free studio time if it's not booked or the middle of the night or whatever,
Yeah.
so they can learn and become a producer and then come back here and book the room.
I do the same.
Yeah.
I've been training my own clients for 40 years. I didn't even really realize it in the beginning,
Right.
but I've been very, very blessed with a lot of loyal alum
Yeah.
coming back. So thank you. You know who you are. So what was the pivotal moment that you went from, because you're an assistant and it's grueling.
Right.
When did you get to be the first on your own thing or work with a producer where you were in the hot seat as an engineer?
You know, I got a bunch of opportunities that just were around the studio when an engineer doesn't show up. And
that happens.
Yeah, and then I was constantly producing any demos I could do. I was going out at night, finding bands at the Viper Room,
Yep.
bringing them in and producing them. So I was, made my,
Getting experience.
Yeah, getting experience there. I worked with this artist, Senator O'Brien, and Chad Bamford actually engineered that.
That's
And
familiar.
Yeah, he was, and then we did a 4-song EP. Then Mick Fleetwood signed him to a deal.
Nice.
And then Mick Fleetwood decided to redo all of our songs. I'm like, great. And then Mick Fleetwood had to come back and buy the songs from us because they couldn't record it as well.
Sweet.
But Mick's very talented, and he was very gracious in doing that. And he was kind enough to call and get those back. And so that was kind of neat. But so that happened. But my main way of breaking, because you need financial support to break out. You can't just break out on like, oh, you're kind of doing better on these few, and then this isn't. You need to have some steadiness. So I had a production partner named Ray McVeigh, who I was working in the studio. His engineer then, for some reason, didn't want to work together anymore, And so then they said, who's the best assistant? So I got put in the slot there as the engineer. And then something happened. It was a Japanese artist, but they sang in English, and it was like Joey Castillo on drums, and it was, and it was all kind of like
LA
industrial
Cats.
LA Cats. So it was all cool music. Just happened to be on a kind of like the Prodigy was supported by them. So then then we were going to track, but then they couldn't do it. So we had to mix because no one could come into town for some reason. And it was these huge $1 million budget records from Avex.
Love it.
So then that happened, and then my mixes were good.
I remember Avex.
Yeah, Tom Yoda, still around actually.
Yeah.
And so then what happened is that mixing the mixes worked out well. So I kept on that session, and then Ray and I, after that record, we became a production team.
Avex also bought the studio in Hawaii, and they had a studio in Oahu called Avex. Anyway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, interesting. I'm sure it's the same.
It was they're a juggernaut now. Even.
Yeah. So wait, I messed up. I talked over you. What was the thing that you did with him?
Hide. It was.
Hide. I remember him.
And the band was Zilch.
So wasn't Hide part of Japan X though?
X Japan, yeah.
Right, which was
Yoshiki's band. Yeah.
Right.
And then I went on later.
And
Hide
was the one that had the giant
red hair.
Yeah, but like vertical.
Right, exactly.
Like vertical hair.
Yeah.
Literally.
Vertical hair.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No.
Oh yeah, I remember those days, man. A lot of Japanese artists. What was great for us as a studio was they'd always pay in cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'd show up at the studio with like a briefcase full of cash because each person could bring in 10 grand, and say they had like 8 people or whatever, and they would just put the cash. It was like Keiko Matsui. I mean, all kinds of people. Japanese. I mean, Chinese too, like Johnny Chang. But all kinds of great artists.
It was an exciting time because of that, and they had the money, and they were great to do business with because they would bring cash. And later in our production partnership, I was the one that kind of handled the money.
Yeah.
So they would bring me, or at least that cash money they would bring for records. So I would come in, and I remember for one record, I just got this huge like $75,000 for studio
like a roll of money. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this like bag.
Yeah.
But still like. It had taxes taken out,
Yep.
all documented. That's just how they did the transaction.
I never had a problem ever dealing with any of those artists or those record companies. Yeah. They were always on point, actually, to be honest.
It was...
people can learn from them.
Yeah, he unfortunately, we lost him.
Yes.
And I went out to that funeral, and you don't really understand how popular these people were. I went to the funeral there, and over 300,000 people showed up.
Yeah.
And like... We drove through these crowds of throngs, like hanging from the light posts, like in a movie.
They were one of the first bands, and correct me if I'm wrong, that did like the giant video screens at their concerts. So people would pay, like if you couldn't get into the show,
right,
you'd pay to watch the show. And it wasn't like watching it on TV, I don't think. I don't quite know what your ticket got you, but I also remember that they used low end for crowd control.
Really?
That's what they told me. That's what Yoshiki told me, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but people would, you'd start to feel kind of like, I feel kind of sick.
They were all of those guys were super creative, so I can see that.
Yeah. Just keeping people back.
Right.
Away from the stage. Interesting.
Yeah, he was, he came and he bought, the studio in Beverly, and then they had, I forget what was the name of his record company. I produced a few bands for that record.
Well, did he ever own One on One too? For a minute, Yoshiki did, but he owns The Pass now still,
really?
Which was, it was originally called Britannia, and Tom Jones owned it. It's the end of Barham, and then it was part of Larrabee. Kevin Mills had it, and then Dave Way and his beautiful wife Jamie had it for a minute. It was called The Pass. I don't know if they call it The Pass now, but I believe Yoshiki still owns it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I remember I was doing a mix for him for his label. Came in to listen, liked it, whatever, and then like the vocal effect was Echoplex.
Yeah.
I had this old Echoplex, and then so he's like, "Oh wow, that's super cool." And then the next guy came in, and he had 3 new Echoplexes right there in case I wanted to.
Yeah, because you might want to. Oh, classy.
It was pretty cool.
Very classy. So after you're kind of doing that stuff, and you said you had this partner, very smart that you're entrepreneurial and hook up
Yeah,
and have
Ray
a
McVeigh.
partner.
Yeah,
Ray McVeigh.
he was the guitar player in the band that the Sex Pistols would have the Professionals. Then he had a big car accident, so he was kind of in that punk rock, Thin Lizzy, Sex
Oh,
Pistols
dude, one
crew.
of my favorite band of all time. One of my favorite bands of all time is Thin Lizzy. But during that time frame, you had like people don't remember like the punk. Some people do, but like the punk ska crossover, like
Right.
Madness, the Specials, the Selector, which was very interesting. If you ever heard them, it was like kind of dark. And you had the Specials and the Stranglers. You
Right.
know, you had all those kinds of bands, but they were like punk ska.
Exactly. Yeah, and punk rock is fast pop,
Yeah.
so it's suitable to jump genres and
Yeah.
get some other treatment.
A fun time in music. I mean,
Oh, it
really
was amazing.
super diverse. And I mean, I suppose people would say that that's true now, but it seemed to me that from like in the 60s and 70s, like where you had like someone like Hendrix was very different from Zeppelin. A lot of blues-based stuff,
Right.
the Stones and Zeppelin for sure. But then you had like Hendrix, or then you had like, and then later you had like the Tubes, and then you had like, oh, of course you had the Who, and then you had the Kinks. So all these things, and they were very different. I thought they were all very. Remember, then there was the whole the New Age thing where you had like a band I love, XTC.
Yeah.
Who's fucking
Oh, yeah.
amazing,
Dun, dun,
you know.
dun,
But then you had all those other bands like Pet Shop Boys and Haircut 100,
Right.
but Pop's Bando Ballet,
Right.
you know.
And a lot of that was technology driven.
Yeah, and you had the synthesizer and sampler, keyboard
Synthesizers,
driven.
multi-track recording,
Right.
and then the beginning of digital effects units.
Exactly.
And all that kind of combined to give a much wider palette, and those records sound. Have you listened to Shriekback lately?
No, I should go back and check it out.
There's Faded Flowers is a great track, and then there's This Big Hush. And
I will check it out.
They were, I hope I'm not wrong, but they were engineered by Hans Zimmer.
That does not surprise me.
And to this day, sonically, it's just like, it's all right there. This guy's amazing attitude towards space.
Yeah.
Amazing interpretation of space. And it seems like there's no instruments, but there's kind of a lot, but you don't think there are a lot, and they're all doing their perfect job. And it was just, it's amazing. And,
I mean,
and you could just tell. And that was in '85. But he had those first digital reverbs.
Yep.
And he had the multi-track.
Yeah. I mean, things like a Lynn drum machine or the Moog or, you know, any of the Roland stuff, and then the samplers and, you know, just all that stuff. I mean, sometimes you listen to it now and it sounds a little bit dated, you know, just it's a sound from a time.
Of course.
But I think we ought to revive using shit like that in current production and
I
make it
agree.
sound cool.
I agree. I think using that, yeah, and I think that,
The palette just get bigger and bigger.
yeah, the palette is bigger, and there's like Bon Iver does a great job of using
Love that band.
acoustic instruments, but then you've got almost vocoder type effects
Yes.
on the vocal, and a lot of not scared of delay, time-based effects, all this
Yeah.
stuff, and it's really great.
Having fun.
Yeah, right. Like fuck it,
Fuck it, let's check it
If
out. Let's see
Crosby,
what-
Stills, and Nash had a vocoder plug-in, they probably would have tried it.
Fuck it, totally.
You know?
Definitely Neil Young could have used it. I love Neil Young.
Yeah.
That would have been cool, though.
Man, I saw him at the Greek, and he rocked that place 2.5 hours with him and a guitar and a stomping foot.
He's badass.
Holy moly.
Dude, he's badass. And so I just a little bit older than you. So there was like Zeppelin stuff like that. Then it was Crosby, Stills and Nash. Then it gets into the Eagles, and and then it's Heart, and then it's all those bands and Cheap Trick, all those
Right.
great bands, and then later comes grunge.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Chris Cornell, hands down,
Yeah,
one of my favorite singers of all
exactly.
time.
One of the best ever.
Unbelievable. But that whole Seattle sound thing that was happening, Rick Parasher,
Yeah.
and God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the names of those big time Seattle producers. But they were very influential in the 90s.
Right.
Very influential in the late 80s
Brendan
and early
O'Brien.
90s. Yeah, Brendan O'Brien.
Yeah.
Obviously there's Pearl Jam, Nirvana, obviously Butch Vig.
Yeah.
Who we love Butch.
Yeah,
Butch is
he
still
is.
kicking ass, not only with Garbage, but he does a lot of work with Silver Sun Pickups and all these other bands that he works with. If a band works with Butch, they're a good band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's part of what, making a good record is about finding the right artist.
Yeah.
And I've made the mistake.
And
of
the artist finding the right
The
producer.
ego, yeah, and the ego saying, "Oh, I can make this better," or "quote unquote fix it," or there's this problem, but we can deal with that. And then, like, smart producer sets yourself up for success a little bit earlier. I made that
Yeah,
mistake
and you
sometimes.
turn stuff away that it isn't really that you can't serve it.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? There's some producers get typecast into genres, and then there's people that don't. And I bring him up again, but Don is one of the people who
Right.
didn't get. And I've known Don since the early '80s, who didn't get typecast. He could do a Stones record, a Bonnie Raitt record, then he could do a Chris Christopherson record, then he could turn around and do Solomon Burke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all, good music, but I'm saying, be very diverse. Rick Rubin pretty diverse too with Johnny Cash and everything, but very
Right.
diverse, like some guys, like they were this kind of producer.
Very, very diverse. And, obviously Don's one of my best bros.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure he relied on you heavily for quite some time.
and
You and
as
Eddie.
I did him.
You and Eddie too.
Yeah, as I did him. But we worked together for 20 years.
Yeah.
Or I think about 20.
Yeah.
And traveled
And probably
the world.
again. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, I think he's touring and stuff
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we've-
Traveling Wilburys, you got George Harrison,
Right.
a fucking Roy Orbison, a fucking Dylan. Was Dylan
Yeah.
part of the Wilburys?
Right.
Right? And who else is in the Wilburys? It don't matter.
Cash.
Yeah, Johnny Cash. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah, yeah, he don't. First of all, Don, I would say, like Rick and Don, they're multi-genre, of course,
Yeah.
but there's an artistic quality that's
I agree.
consistent.
Yeah.
And that's one of
And
the
they're
things.
cool and you want to hang out with them.
They're cool. You want to hang out with them. But I
Yeah.
think we look at music. One of the things I like about how music is now is that, like I was, with young people especially, like they've got a playlist that literally has Johnny Cash, Skrillex.
It is diverse.
Something, whatever. It's all these. They don't. It's just there's an aesthetic or an emotion that they're looking for, not necessarily that, and they realize it
and
comes
not a
from
genre.
a lot of genres.
Not a style.
So I think that, but I don't think that I think that the music business was not set up for that transition. That's one of the things that kind of was a problem with us in music is that, like adult contemporary or, AC.
You got to be able to call it
It all
something.
had to be very pigeonholed.
Yeah.
But that's not kind of how people listen to music anymore. So they turn on
Yeah.
the radio and they hear like, oh, I love that Cheap Trick song or whatever, but I really don't like that other song from that other band. And
I'm a bad candidate because I listen to basically K-Rock and Jack. But then I also listen to 88.1,
right.
which like the
Yeah.
jazz and blues station
No, that is great.
and the classical station.
Yeah. You know what I find it great, like I love going and like listen to old Frank Zappa and stuff
Oh, dude.
on YouTube. Now the sound is not that great.
Right.
But you see, like, first of all, these people were out of their skulls.
Dude,
on
so creative.
just so creative, so
My
amazing.
brother Rick worked with Frank for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, he was just. I got to meet him when he was editing. I got to meet Frank in 1975,
Right.
and he was working on 200 Motels. He was like editing it. I got to meet Flo and Eddie, and I love the
Wow.
Turtles.
Yeah. Same.
Anyway, I love all that kind of. I because I had older siblings, that 60s music pre Zeppelin and stuff like that, like the Mamas and the Papas and the Beach Boys and stuff like that, and the
Right.
Turtles and all those melodic harmony-based bands,
Right.
vocal harmony-based bands. A huge influence
amazing.
for me.
Yeah.
But I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Fuck, I don't
We
even
were
know.
just talking about Frank Zappa.
Oh, Zappa. Fuck, see, this is why I need you. You have to pull me back in. So you listen to Frank, and by the way, Frank did not do drugs. It's a
Yeah.
misconception. He did not. He was.
Yeah, I mean, when I said it was all crazy, it was crazy creatively.
Oh, so crazy creatively.
Yeah,
No,
just
so
so-
innovative.
Yeah.
And he was a badass. I mean, in this building, Joe Ciccarelli, who has a room here.
Yeah.
Dude, Joe was 19 when he did Joe's Garage. And by the way, he says it's not called Joe's Garage because of him, but I'm telling you, it's called Joe's Garage because of Ciccarelli.
Yeah.
He
I
denies
wonder
it.
where Joe was living and what his garage was
He's
like.
probably
at the
living in the
time.
garage, right? But Zappa was so different.
Yeah.
Using classical time signatures and a lot of jazz.
Right.
You know what I mean? And incorporating all of that into his thing. And dude, if you
And
were
beat poetry, like a
Oh,
Shel
totally.
Silverstein vibe.
totally,
you know.
totally, and actually, who another person that people don't talk about very often, who was a cool musical influence, was Laura Nero. Do you know who that is? Laura Nero? You should check her out. An
Okay.
unbelievable singer. I believe she was Lebanese. I'm not sure. I could be messing that up. But an incredible singer. And just kind of, I remembered Frank mentioning her which is random, but very different musically, but an incredible, incredible, incredible singer.
Yeah.
Incredible songwriter. A learner. Anyway, you would know it if you heard it. But yeah, just he would incorporating. We're talking about
Right.
incorporating all these different things
Different
and being
elements,
creative.
different jazz
and fucking
elements.
around.
Right.
Trying shit out.
Trying shit out, but he would also like, he had not charts, but he had pages for you.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what you're doing there. And then if you're going to improvise, you can do it right there and that's it. And
Yeah.
he knew exactly, and he knew what he's going to play.
A self-producing artist at his finest.
Yeah, I cannot. I mean, the only thing you do for him is press record.
Bob Stone, another great engineer that worked with Frank for a long time. But yeah, super, super talented. I think that Dweezil is a mother of a guitar player and an artist. You've got Next Jenny, where you got like Jacob Dylan, Bob Dylan's son, and all these people. And there's definitely something in the gene.
It's in the gene and it's in the upbringing.
I think, I think it's
and
nature and nurture working together.
And what are you being exposed to? And, there's a certain, creativity is a certain mixture of diligence and madness.
And fun.
And like one of my favorite authors is Hermann Hesse.
One of my favorite of all time.
And the introduction to Damien, which is kind of coming of age story.
Yeah.
Damien's maybe the devil, maybe not. Maybe
know.
men are all devils. Who knows? But he has this. It's a 1.5 page prologue intro to that. And what's interesting is he says, "Look, like my story is like that of all people. It's tinged with madness.
Yeah.
And we're all experiments. Yeah. And we all can explain ourselves
Works in progress.
to ourselves alone. And real music has that abandon. It has that recklessness. It's got, that's why, people can over edit. They can take the life out of music very easily. And music has to have a little bit of madness in it. Like if you listen on headphones to like David Kahn, I was mixing something for David Kahn.
Yep.
And I'm like, and there's this one track and it's like question mark or something. And it's a jungle beat that's like different time signature. Out of key, it's like if you were playing some other random record. It's like, I'm like, what is that? He's like, you just sneak it in a little bit.
I love this.
Oh, dude, you are badass.
Yeah.
But if you listen to, oh shoot, I'm forgetting. It's some British band, and it's common in British bands. Like there'll be some guitar part that's really orthogonal. It's kind of doesn't go with it.
What's orthogonal?
Orthogonal means like.
It's
going in a
divergent.
different direction.
It's diverting.
Yeah, exactly. It's diverting. That's probably a better word.
Divergent, whatever.
And it's just kind of in the background, but if you listen hard, you can hear it. And it's those things add to this tapestry, or songs.
Tapestry is the word.
And songs that okay, it's got a standard progression, and then it goes to some weird chord. Stones do that.
Yes.
In almost every song.
Yes.
So you've got to add a left turn or a right turn to music.
Well, I think it maintains the interest of the listener.
Right.
Especially when you're hearing a song for the very first time.
Right.
And for it to hook you in. We talked earlier about the emotional recognition. Music touches you or makes you think of something or whatever, puts you in a time and a place. But when you hear a song for the first time, you're either gonna dig it or you're not.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's going to be something in it that speaks to you.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That does that. And I have a book that you have to read by Hermann Hesse. It's called Magister Ludi and the Glass Bead Game.
Yes, I've read it.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
I never meet anybody who
amazing.
Reads Hermann Hesse. Anyway,
Yeah.
deep shit.
So deep.
But deep, but pretty human, very human.
Yeah.
But yeah, so music is a tapestry. Everything can be checked out. We're all about experimentation. We're all about including things and getting creative and being fun, having fun with it. I want to hear more about what you're doing now, but I do want to hear some about your experiences about like working with the Stones and stuff like that. How was that?
The Stones are
the Stones.
For the Stones, it's like they say, don't meet your heroes. I can remember listening to the Rolling Stones, like in college, never even thinking I'd be in the music business. Whatever, drunk, something, cranking. I had a great stereo.
What are some of the records you worked on with them?
I worked on Bigger Bang. I worked on a lot of the reissues. And then I worked on Blue and Lonesome,
Oh,
which I'm
okay.
super proud of. And then the most recent one we have a few tracks on still. And now
Nice.
they've gone a different direction from Don and myself, which is fine.
Yeah.
And a more co-writing direction, I think.
Gotcha.
So, but they say don't meet your heroes, but the Stones, if they're the Stones, you can meet them, and they live up to expectations.
I've worked with them a few times, and they're always unbelievably cool.
And we did Bigger Bang at Mick's Chateau in France called Fourchette. It's about
Is it in Vence? It's not Provence, it's Vence, right?
Oh, is it?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no.
Probably.
It's in the Loire Valley.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
About 3 hours outside of Paris, and it's just like,
magical.
It's so magical. We set up Charlie's drum sets are set up on this altar, and I got called in because Charlie actually he had just had surgery or something, and they wanted some drum beats. And Don couldn't even make it, so I just went there with because I did a lot of hip hop programming. I was part of a hip hop duo, so I had some drum beats, and they hated, rightfully so. They didn't like any of my drum beats. And I was going to make the Stones, whatever the idea that I had was not great, but I pivoted quickly, and I was like, oh, there's a drum kit. I'm like, well, Mick, why don't you just jam a beat? And then I'll just record it. I'll make loops. So I made some loops, and I started recording the demos. And then Don got there, and then we just kept working. And then we ended up making the record there. But where the drums were was the altar of this little chapel that was like last remodeled in 1410.
Yeah,
something ridiculous.
And everybody was this tall.
And there was a staircase that was pretty treacherous, and it was very well appointed. It just the structure was old, and so we recorded there, and it was just like I would just sit the rig, and it was me, and there was their guitar tech / collaborator Pierre de Beauport was amazing, and super large force in their history, and then it would just be him, but he would kind of be moving around, so it was just myself, Don, and a lot of times just Mick and Keith playing guitar and singing or doing whatever, and they were like right here.
Yeah.
And I'd be sitting there recording and, Mick sing as we go and all this stuff.
It's
and Don
so
would
cool.
just text me. He's like, just look to your left and right.
Yeah. How
bro.
cool is this?
You're missing it all.
Yeah. How cool is this that we get to, and I agree with you. I mean, you're in the room with them more than I am, but I have to say that like doing this job I've been doing for over 40 years now. Yeah. And it has been such an honor and so fun to meet these people. I mean, Mick was so fun. Keith is so fun. I have a funny Mick story. I've told it a couple times on the podcast, and you'll appreciate this story. He was working with Dave Stewart on the soundtrack for Alfie, right? And they had been recording, and then they were moving over into where Studio 5 is now, to mix. And all these paparazzi were outside, and this was when this was cello, and it had a manual gate.
Okay.
And so all these paparazzi were outside, and Mick called on the studio line, and I answered the phone. I don't know why I answered the phone, but I answered the phone. He goes, Candace, it's Mick. And I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, there's all these paparazzi. I'm like, what? That's weird. No one knows you're here. I said, I'll come outside and open the gate. So I went outside and opened the gate, and sure enough, there was like paparazzi all on Gordon, all around everything. He came inside, and he said, I never think of cool stuff to say, but this particular day I was on my rare form, and he says, where am I today? I know I'm just your plaything. And I said, you're my cat toy. And I said, and you're over here in the other studio. But at that exact moment in time when he was standing in my office earlier that day, Chris Cornell had wanted to meet Nikki Sixx, and they were doing Motley Crue was in one, Audio Slave was in the room we're sitting in right now. They had met earlier that day. Then Chris goes into one, and they're just fucking around. But we're standing in my office, kind of where the horse is now in the lobby, and we hear Street Fighting Man being played, the Stone song being played in Studio One. So, and I think, and if I mess this up, it might have been, I don't know if it was Bob Rock or Clink. I do need to check that out. I can't remember who was producing Motley at the time. I think it was Clink. But I buzzed into the control room, and I said, what are you guys doing? They said, oh, we're just messing around. I said, I'm going to walk in the room with somebody, what you and I would consider the back door of Studio One from the lobby, right? So I walk in with Mick. And Chris is facing the glass, and he's singing, and the rest of the band is playing, and they all stop. Mick Mars, everybody just like fucking Mick Jagger standing there like, what the fuck, right? And Chris is facing away and turns around, and Mick goes, not bad. He goes, I like the vocal, man. And he
That's
just,
so
and then he
funny.
walked out.
He's yeah.
Dude, he's a sweetie. You know,
I
and
was-
Keith is sweetie.
Keith is
Sweetheart.
Keith is super cool.
Down to earth.
Yeah, Keith was, he's
They feud, but you know what? It's like a married couple after 50 fucking years. What are you going to do? I don't know. Tell you to fuck off and then sit down and play your part.
they've made incredible music.
Dude,
together.
it's insane.
Yeah, it's
It's insane. Ron Wood, no flies on Ronnie. He's amazing.
oh, are you kidding? They're all Keith, Keith was they're super one. Keith is like, hey man, just so you know, right now you're a Rolling Stone. I'm like, holy shit.
Dude,
Wow. That was at Henson when we were mixing.
that's a moment.
But I remember talking to Mick. We'd hang out a fair amount. We'd just chit chat. And I was in economics. I'm in politics, and I'm not a fan of Henry Kissinger. And I don't even know if I have that opinion anymore. But at the time, I was young and shit talking or whatever, and telling him about my opinion. And he's like, "Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I'm having lunch with Henry tomorrow. I'm going to make sure to convey your disapproval." And I'm like, "Oh my
crap.
God.
Yeah.
You got to
Maybe
be careful what you're doing here."
Right. Well, he does have a background in economics.
Yeah, London School. But he would always be hanging out with world leaders and kind of, why not? Why wouldn't you want to go and
Dude,
get to know these people?
We like to hang out with people that think we're cool.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's not Sarkozy, but right.
yeah, whatever.
No, but I'm very happy with my circle.
Yeah. But I mean, you've done a lot of great records with Don, and I know you're doing. Tell us what you're doing now. What are you doing now?
I'm kind of splitting my time between music and I'm producing this kind of cool collective called the Canyon Dogs. And
now I'm curious.
yeah, it's with who the singer is Jason Farrow, and so
Oh.
he's been signed. He's a fashion designer. He's also been signed a bunch of times in his life, and then he's got some other kind of musicians around him, some kind of well-known studio guys, and just thinking about Laurel Canyon, that
Canyon
sound,
Dogs,
right? But now, of course, it's in the West Valley, but taking that sound and then but modernizing it, but taking that ethos and just trying to make some good music, but also it's also combined with fashion, right? Because you gotta have some other way to monetize the art and b just create a bigger footprint.
Is his fashion is it a label, like a brand that it's affiliated with the Canyon Dogs?
They are in the process of.
Can I buy Canyon Dog clothing?
Not quite yet, but I think you will be able to.
I want Canyon Kitty clothing.
I'm sure it'll be there.
I mean, just saying.
Yeah, and we're working, and essentially we're working. It's a great project. There's a young kid, Aztec, and he's engineering it, and it's cool because he comes from a EDM.
But his real name
DJ.
is Tim.
Yeah, Henry.
Henry Aztec.
But,
it's like I met Diplo, and
right.
he goes, what's your real name? He goes, it's Diplo. I go, your mother didn't name you Diplo. He goes, it's Wes. I go, okay, Wes.
Right. Exactly. But you got to have, it's all branding.
I dig it.
I'm not going to mess up.
No, it's all good. Aztec, I'll remember
Tech's
it.
name, but it's cool because he comes from a different background. So we're trying to take like this old school music, very, very live, and then have a sensibility about it. There's no electronic elements to the music, but just sonically and stuff like that, and kind of giving it some modern tinges. So it's been pretty fun.
Oh, that sounds super fun. And I know that one of your, can we talk about big music?
Yeah, no, one thing that the business, I don't know how much time we have, but the business has been, music, and we all know, we've seen so many of these studios close. We've seen so much of this industry have issues, and we see musicians get a smaller and smaller slice of the pie that's getting bigger. And the labels have not made some good decisions.
Yeah. They've always been banks with high interest.
Yeah, right. But
they do amazing things that you sometimes can't do without them.
Yeah, and
marketing,
also,
et cetera.
And especially,
tour support.
Right, tour support, and but there was, when we had the monoculture, they served a purpose. They haven't transitioned as well into the new. They're trying and they're doing a good job, but so many artists are disenfranchised. So I started a publishing catalog for disenfranchised artists that had great music, because all these. But that was fine. But then I started a company called Big Music, and that's we're kind of
BIG
BYG MUSIC, and Big Music. Our thesis is that we need to get new revenues into these artists, and the way we do that is through brands.
I love it.
And I think we're long past the time when no one wants to sell out. I think we're at a time where artists need support.
Absolutely.
And brands are willing to step up to the plate.
I mean, they've been supporting touring and concert for a long time,
Yeah.
and I don't see any reason why it can't go deeper and deeper. If you got I don't know, General Mills, Big Fish, whoever,
Exactly. And people don't realize that, like, you're not making anything on streaming, and it costs you money to tour. There is no other there.
Yeah.
And
There is no hard, we're not buying, I mean, people are buying vinyl,
but
but
vinyl
it's,
is a $400 million a year market. That is a scratch.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
That's not supporting
When we were
anybody.
kids, they sold hard physical
Exactly.
product.
When we were, the music, the gross revenue of the music business, recorded music is nowhere near what it used to be. Yet
Yeah.
that's what drove the whole music business. So
Yeah.
we've got to go to brands, and so we've been doing that for a while. We've got some great clients to support brands like Ford and Disney Plus,
Amazing.
and Hulu,
Very
and
cool.
Universal Pictures, and so we've done some amazing activation for artists, and we've been able to democratize it to kind of artists of all sizes.
Oh, cool.
And so we're in the process of building a platform that's going to kind of be a place where hopefully you get your publishing check, you get your check from your masters on
Yep.
Spotify,
Yep.
and they get your sponsorship check, and we'll be doing the sponsorship check for you.
And then my husband is head of PR for the AFM SAG After Fund, which is the royalties check for non-featured performers. So, like, if you're a background singer or if you played an oboe on something, and they distribute $90 million a year, so it's a lot of money.
I need to do that because there's some engineering component to that.
Yeah,
isn't
there is. Yeah, well, it's more if you had to have performed. I think you had like a hand clap, or you said you played instruments.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I played hand claps and percussion on Stones
anything
records.
that you were credited doing that, and we're gonna look into this. I'll send you the
Yeah,
link.
okay.
But I think one of the things I want to wrap this up in saying, and we always can do a part 2, is I love that you love music enough and artists enough that you were trying to figure out ways for them to survive. I've been on this side of it trying to make sure that this place survives, and so I will say, and you're the perfect person to say this, amazing music can be made in your house. I'm all about artist empowerment.
Right.
I mean, wherever you can make your music and afford to make your music, please do. But if you get the opportunity to go into one of these fine big studios, even if it's just for a day, it can really make a difference in your music.
It can.
Especially when you're working with somebody like this.
It's in the air, and we're also, you will feel the difference.
But it's the acoustic, the room is an instrument. This room that we're sitting in.
The room is an instrument. The vibe is an instrument. The emotion is an instrument. You walk in, and someone like you've seen every artist in the world walk into your studio. So one of my acts that's brand new, Magnolia Memoir, they were brand new. They
Love
came
them.
in. You're like, hey, whatever. They've arrived, and so they're going to go perform like they've
At their
arrived.
best.
Right.
Yeah, they feel like they're at, yeah.
Doesn't hurt to have some killer Neves around, but,
yeah.
but it's how are they going to perform?
When good mics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just everybody listening out there, keep making music, learn about how to make music, remember how important music is. And a company like Big Music, if you listen to my podcast and you've got some amazing band that you think is worthy of Krish's attention, you can email me.
Or if you're a brand and you want to get the word out.
Yep.
We're building this new platform, so I'm hijack one more time. And
Yeah.
we've partnered up. We've got a new founder who used to be at Beats and Apple named Tiffany Lovard.
Oh,
So
very
we're kind
cool.
of expanding this world into. We're going to bring the power of technology to artists.
Yeah.
And that's very important because up till now, AI and everything, it seems to be taking away from artists.
Well, yeah, because
We need to give back.
Yeah, we need to give back, and AI can be a tool. We don't need to be afraid of AI, but what isn't cool about AI and what will never be cool is stealing someone's art. That ain't cool.
Ain't cool, man.
You know what I'm saying? You even compiling from various pieces of someone else's art. It's like, no, you didn't make it. So
Right.
that's not cool.
Yeah.
So be cool.
Be cool. We are in a brand new era.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
I don't even trust a driverless car though, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the other side. I think driverless cars are gonna be safer than people, but at the same time, we've got to keep
yeah.
humanity involved.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
This
Now,
project.
the cool thing, we're totally getting off topic again.
I know
before
you
we
were trying
close.
to. You're trying to shut it
No,
down.
no, I wasn't. But maybe.
I'm
But
having a
before-
good time, so sorry.
No, I'm having so much fun. How long have we been talking? Okay, we'll stop in a few minutes.
Right.
So I was going to say one last thing is the Waymo. I have to end it with something silly. Okay, the Waymo. Okay. you could take a roadie in a Waymo. Okay, this is my motivation. My motivation is I leave the bar. This is assuming I can walk out the bar with my drink in my hand because I have a big purse or sweater. And I get in the Waymo, and I can finish my drink in the car on the way home. This is what I'm saying. This is civilized. All right, thanks.
Very civilized.
Closing session.
All right.
Thanks.